from the factories of Montreal to the digital battlefields of the 21st century. This is the complete catalog of the evolution of Canadian armor. Let's start with the genesis. The lean years 1918 to 1939. M1917 light tank. The relic. When World War II began, Canada had no tanks. They bought these World War I era American copies of the Renault FT as scrap metal just to have something to train on. They were the very first tanks to drive on Canadian soil. Carden Lloyd Mark VI. The tankette. In the early 1930s, this tiny two-man machine gun carrier was the only armored vehicle in the entire Canadian arsenal. It was barely a tank, but it kept the concept of armor alive during the Great Depression. Now, World War II, the arsenal of democracy, 1939 to 1945. Universal carrier, Ford, the Swarm. While British designed, Ford Canada produced nearly 30,000 of these agile machines. They were the workhorses of the Commonwealth, serving on every front from Italy to Normandy. Wasp Mark II, the Dragon, a universal carrier fitted with a flamethrower. Canadian troops used these to terrified effect in Normandy, burning enemies out of hedgerows and trenches where tanks couldn't reach. Fox Armored Car, the Hybrid, a distinct Canadian design that mated the turret of a British Humber with a rugged GM truck chassis. Fast and heavily armed, it served as the eyes of the Canadian Army in Europe. Otter Light Reconnaissance Car, the makeshift, built on a Chevrolet commercial truck chassis because Britain couldn't supply enough scout cars. Over 17,000 were built in Oshawa to patrol the front lines. Valentine Mark VI, the Starter, built in Canada using American mechanical specs to supply the Soviet Union via Lend-Lease. Over 1,400 were built in Montreal, proving Canadian industry could produce heavy armor. Ram Mark I, the Hybrid. Canada didn't want to wait for the American Sherman, so they took the chassis of the M3 Lee and designed their own cast steel turret for it, mounting a 2-pounder gun. Ram Mark II, the definitive Ram, rapidly upgraded with a 6-pounder gun and removed side doors. Though it never saw combat as a gun tank, thousands were built and used to train almost all Commonwealth tank crews. Ram Kangaroo, the invention, a brilliant field modification. Workshops removed the turrets from obsolete Ram tanks to create the world's first heavy armored personnel carrier, allowing infantry to survive artillery fire. Ram Badger, the Toaster, a Ram Kangaroo converted into a flamethrower tank, used to clear bunkers and fortified positions in the Scheldt estuary, incinerating enemy pillboxes. Sexton Mark II, the mobile artillery. While the British built the MKI, Canada perfected it with the MK2. Built on a Grizzly chassis carrying the 25-pounder gun, it was the finest self-propelled gun of the Commonwealth. Grizzly I, the Canadian Sherman, basically an M4A1 Sherman built in Montreal. It featured distinct Canadian dry pin tracks that were lighter and didn't require scarce rubber. Skink, the gamer legend, an anti-aircraft Grizzly mounting 4 20mm Pulse 10 cannons in a fully enclosed turret. It was designed to sweep the Luftwaffe from the skies but ended up shredding ground targets. Next, the Cold War, Indigenous Concepts and Track Systems 1946 to 1990. M4A2E8 Sherman, the transition. After the war, Canada purchased nearly 300 Easy-8 Shermans. Armed with high-velocity 76mm guns, these veterans served as the primary battle tank for training until the Centurions arrived. Bobcat, the Lost Opportunity, an ambitious attempt in the 1950s to design and build a fully amphibious tracked APC in Canada. It was plagued by technical delays and cancelled in favor of the M113. Centurion Mark 511, the Veteran. Before the Leopards, Canada operated these British legends for 25 years. Upgraded with 105mm guns and extra fuel tanks, they defended the Fulda Gap in West Germany. Centurion ARV, the workhorse, the recovery version of the Centurion. Without a main gun, it used a massive winch and spade anchor to pull stuck tanks out of the mud. Centurion AVRE, the Demolisher, a specialized combat engineer vehicle armed with a short 165mm gun-firing HESH rounds, designed to destroy concrete obstacles with one shot. M113A2TUA, the Tank Hunter, a Canadian modification of the ubiquitous M113, fitted with a large armored turret containing twin TOW anti-tank missile launchers. Link's reconnaissance vehicle, the Sneaky Pete, a smaller, faster version of the M113 designed specifically for scouting. With a lower profile, it allowed Canadian recce teams to slip behind enemy lines. LAV, the life extension. Canada heavily upgraded their M113 fleet with better engines and applique armor, keeping the old chassis relevant as battle taxis for modern operations. M548, the Mule, a cargo carrier based on the M113 chassis. Unarmored but tracked, it carried ammunition and supplies through terrain where no truck could pass. M109A4+, the Thunder, Canada's primary tracked self-propelled howitzer during the Cold War. Upgraded to fire a 155mm shell over 18 kilometers to support the tank regiments. ADATS, the Dual Threat, air defense anti-tank system. It carried massive Mach 3 laser-guided missiles that could destroy both aircraft and tanks with equal efficiency. Leopard C1, the German adoption. Canada chose the German Leopard 1A3 to replace its aging Centurions. Fitted with a Belgian laser rangefinder, they had superior accuracy to standard German models. Taurus ARV, the Fixer, a Canadian armored recovery vehicle based on the Leopard 1 chassis, designed to recover damaged C-1S under fire. Beaver AVLB, the Bridge Maker, a Leopard 1 chassis carrying a preformed scissors bridge, could deploy a bridge in minutes, allowing columns to cross rivers. Next, the Wheeled Revolution, the LAV family. Ferret Scout Car, the Go-Kart, a tiny, agile British scout car used extensively by Canada. Lightly armored but incredibly fast, it was the symbol of UN peacekeepers in Cyprus. A VGP Cougar, the Fire Support, a six-wheeled vehicle armed with the 76mm turret of a British Scorpion tank. Used to train tank crews and provide direct fire support. A VGP Grizzly, the Taxi, a six-wheeled armored personnel carrier. Fully amphibious, it was used heavily during UN missions in the Middle East. A VGP Husky, the Recovery, the maintenance version of the six-wheeled family, designed to fix broken Cougars and Grizzlies in the field. Bison, the Box on Wheels, an eight-wheeled armored personnel carrier based on the Swiss Piranha II. It became the grandfather of the modern LAV fleet. Coyote, the Eyes, a sophisticated reconnaissance vehicle based on the LAV-25. It carries radar and cameras on an extendable mast to spot enemies from kilometers away. LAV III, the Legend, the vehicle that put Canada on the map. Built in London, Ontario, it was so successful the US Army adopted it as the Striker. It became the backbone of the Canadian Army in Afghanistan. LAV 6.0, the modern standard, the current evolution of the LAV III. Upgraded with a double V hull to deflect IED blasts, it is significantly heavier and better protected. TAPV, the Patrol, the Tactical Armored Patrol Vehicle. Designed to replace the RG-31, it focuses on surviving mine blasts while patrolling hostile territory. LRSS, the Silent Watcher, the Light Armored Vehicle Reconnaissance Surveillance System, the modern replacement for the Coyote, putting advanced sensors on the tough LAV 6.0 hull. Finally, the return of heavy armor, the Afghanistan era to present. RG-31 Nyala, the Survivor, an urgent purchase for Afghanistan. This mine-resistant truck saved countless Canadian lives from massive IED blasts. Buffalo EROC, the Claw, a massive six-wheeled engineering vehicle designed to interrogate roadside bombs using a 30-foot robotic arm. Leopard C2, the Upgrade. When the C1S got old, Canada bought surplus Leopard 1A5 turrets with thermal sights and mounted them on the existing hulls. Leopard C2 Mexes, the Warrior, a C2 fitted with massive modular ceramic armor packages for combat in Afghanistan. It saved many crews from RPG hits. Leopard 2A6 MCAN, the emergency response, leased from Germany for Afghanistan, modified with slat armor and electronic countermeasures to survive modern threats. Leopard 2A4 MCAN, the budget beast, older 2A4 tanks heavily upgraded with modern composite armor packages, creating a cost-effective modern MBT.